Welcome to Recruiting Intel on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel, powered by InsideTexas.com. I'm Joe Cook. We got Justin Wells. We got Coach Dub. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Of course, if you have not done so yet, got to click the right thing. But you know what I'm going to say. Go to InsideTexas.com. Go to that first link in our description. Sign up. Join the best Texas Longhorns community for just $1. We'll throw in a full year of access to the Athletic. And, mid-September, sometimes it can slow down a little bit in recruiting. But, guys, we got some recruiting stuff to talk about. First, we'll start with some rankings. Rivals the other day came out with their updated Rivals 300 for the 2026 class. And, guys, Texas has 3 5-stars. And I like what Rivals does. They go, 10 5-stars. And as the cycle goes on, they'll get up to 16, which they're at now, 20-something. And then when the cycle ends, they'll go 32. And they'll mirror the first round of the NFL draft. Right now, they're at 16 in their own internal rankings. And 3 of those guys, the 3 guys you see on the screen, if I can scroll up a little bit, 3 of those guys are Texas Longhorns. So, Justin, let's start with James Johnson, Miami Northwestern High School. Texas flipped him from Georgia. The Gators and the Hurricanes are still after him. Georgia, I'm guessing, still after him. Number 16 in the country, number 2 at defensive tackle, number 2 in Florida. And so far, based off all updates we've seen both from your reporting and from everybody around Rivals, Texas is in a battle, but they still have the right position and in the right spot to hold on to Johnson throughout his recruitment.
Yeah, and I don't even know if I would say they're in a battle per se.
Okay.
I mean, in some of these where, like Corey Wells, they're in a battle with Auburn. I feel like with a guy like Corey Wells. With James Johnson, he's made it pretty clear, he's locked into Texas. He's still enjoying the trips. Again, he's close to Miami. He's close to some of those schools down in that state. And so he's doing what Derek Cooper does and what recruits before him did, what Jarrett Gibson did, what CJ Baxter did. They're just enjoying the college recruitment and college visits. They're locked in. And it's something we've been saying on the Recruiting Intel show quite a bit. NIL changes a lot of the out-of-state narrative. It used to be you had an out-of-state commitment. You better hold on tightly because if they take visits, you could potentially lose them. They're out of state. With NIL now, if the other school's not going to pony up and at least approach certain offers, you're not going to get flips. It's going to be a lot of dancing and nothing else. And so I think with James Johnson, him coming back last weekend was big, because he wanted to assure Sark and Kenny Baker, hey, I'm still locked into this group. I'm still here. And so, but hey, Florida, watch Miami. Listen, Miami is playing really good right now, and they're recruiting at a high level right now. And so, that's a school that I could see maybe even ponying up in their offer bids for a guy like James Johnson, for a guy like Derek Cooper. I could see them coming back with even more. And all it means is Texas is going to have to hold on. They're going to have to continue to play hard. They're going to have to continue to bring these guys in. They're going to have to continue to do well on Saturdays. And James Johnson, they've got him locked in right now. And so I'm not as worried with James as I would say a couple other recruits in this class. But make sure they hold on to this one. That's the number 1 D lineman in their on their big board.
Yeah, and Coach, with Corey Wells, like you mentioned, Justin, being in a battle for Auburn. I know you have a pick in for Auburn, Justin. So with Corey Wells maybe trending towards the Plains, just makes James Johnson all the more important and possibly gives Texas more resources to dedicate toward him if need be.
Yeah, and also think about Dylan Behrman. Mm-hmm. He's also getting a sell from LSU, from North Carolina, from Purdue, from Ole Miss. Yep. He was there last weekend. Vodney Cleveland, he's locked in. He's still hearing from North Carolina. He's still hearing from a few schools around there. These teams, when Texas doesn't do as well on Saturdays, they smell blood. And they go in and they instantly say, look what you could do for us. Look how much you could help us. They almost use Texas against themselves. And I think that's why they have to be on their toes, not only with most kids in this class, but definitely your higher end elite guys, because they're getting that extra pitch on the side. And so, I'm gonna give some love here to Josh Manning, and I'd love to hear Coach Williams on this. At some point in the show, Jamion Winfield or Kendall Guerville, Jamion Winfield on Jamion Winfield on Jamion Winfield. Let me tell you something. He may be related to Armani. I don't care. That guy is your take. I think Guerrero actually has a season-ending injury. I think something happened a couple weeks ago. I hate that for him. You still, reach out and contact, but Texas, to our knowledge, is only still recruiting one other defensive lineman in this cycle that's not committed, and that's the Richardson High guy that Charlie got to see last week.
Yeah, definitely. Look, I did get the chance to see him this past Friday. His mom spotted me before I spotted her. And she's like, hey, Texas out here got you checking on my boy. And I was like, I have to. He's an absolute monster on the field, and he proved that this past Friday. I see why Texas is still recruiting him. He cannot be blocked. It doesn't matter if you double team him, triple team him, man. This guy can do it all on the field. He never comes off the field. He does whatever. He's pumping up the guys on offense. He even wanted to go in the offensive line. He's like, I can go in and block somebody. He just wants to win. Like, he's an absolute beast on the field. But, Texas stays in contact with him and his parents. Mom still loves Coach Kenny Baker. Like, they have a great relationship. Nothing against Texas, whatsoever. She really, really likes Texas and what they had to offer. Right now, he's still committed to USC. USC is making things tough. I mean, hey, they put all chips all in, on Winfield for USC. So yeah, I get it. And so, but this is one to kind of monitor to December, because you just never know how things will change, right? If kids drop out of the class, whatever the case, you may have more resources to go towards Winfield, right? If a kid and a family already likes Texas, what if you can get close to what USC is offering or matching, whatever the case, get them to stay closer to home? It could happen. I'm not saying it will, but we'll see. If a visit gets scheduled, then we can kind of start looking at Winfield a little more serious.
There we go.
Coach, let's look at Richard Wesley, number 13 in the country, number 5 edge, the number 1 player in California. And I think you and I have talked before about how, sometimes you look at reclassifications and maybe you can identify like, oh, they're trying to get to the money a year earlier. And that's often very true. Richard Wesley may deserve that money a year earlier with how he's played throughout his high school career and throughout these first couple weeks of the season.
Yeah, he's playing well. Even getting some catches at tight end and going to score on offense, right? He's doing it on both sides of the ball this year. So you kind of see that athleticism, and they trust him to do that. You kind of see what kind of athlete he can be off the edge. And so, Richard Wesley deserves, everything he's getting as far as ranking. He was number one edge in 2027 before reclassifying. It looked like he's well on his way to be number 1, even with reclassifying the 2026 class. So this is the absolute steal for Texas. For him to get here on this official visit and fall in love and say, this is where I want to be, without having a battle, we didn't have to jump in the pool or anything else. I think it's an absolute great gift for Texas, and I feel like he'll stay in the class as well.
Justin, the thing with Edge is they're still looking for more too, and who knows if they're going to find one as good as Richard Wesley, but they still want a few other guys at that position as they're going through the 2026 cycle.
Yeah, they really like Jake Krull, the kid out of IMG Academy that committed to Oklahoma over Texas almost a month ago, maybe a little over a month ago. They still like Trenton Henderson, kid that committed to Florida, that they're still talking to him as well. And, Florida's got a commitment in Jaraylon McCoy that's actually now visiting Mississippi State. So it's kind of a musical chairs of these edge players. They're also, they're still got their eyes on a guy in state and Landon Barnes, I think in Duncanville, that would be a very good complement to a Richard Wesley type cycle. And so they're watching him as well. But, Texas was hoping OU wouldn't be as good this year. That way the Jake Krull flip could maybe be a little bit more likely. The way Oklahoma's playing right now, I don't know if that's going to happen. Krull was actually in Norman for their game a couple weeks ago. And so that one's going to be a tough one. That one's going to be hard. But look, they've got to have another edge in this cycle. They have plenty on campus, and they've got just a really good depth chart full of these kids. But you've got to you at least got to get 2. You at least got to bring in 2 more. I think we've learned over the last 5 years, don't go a cycle with one guy. Like last year with 1 offensive tackle, 2 years ago with 1 defensive tackle. Don't go through these cycles with one guy, because you wind up paying for it in the portal on the back end, even more so. And so they're going to have to get another edge, and they're going to stay in touch with these guys through and through.
Before we keep going, got to show some love to our sponsor. One of them is Game Time. We are in September, so that means college football is in full swing. And if you want to get in on the college football action with the best tickets, there's no other place to go than Game Time. The Game Time app gives the advantage back to fans. It's the hack for unlocking amazing tickets and experiences in a few taps. Game Time is one of the easiest apps to work with. You get a view of your seat, you get an all-in price, and you get the best deals like college football tickets as low as $25. Love the feature that shows you what your view looks like. I looked at
tickets in the Horseshoe, you saw what it was like in the Ohio Stadium right there on your screen. You can do the same for Darrell K. Royal Texas Memorial Stadium. You get exclusive discounts like zone deals where you choose the section, Game Time selects the seat, and you save. Fees are included, so you know your total up front. No surprise at checkout. You can snag new ticket deals before anyone finds out by following your favorite teams in the Game Time app to receive alerts. And Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. They have the lowest price guarantee. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code ON3 for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code ON3, ON3 for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time app today or go to gametime.co.
Got a good couple questions. Texas does, or maybe some comments. David Keith Williams, Texas does not have 3 5-star recruits in their 2026 class. They have 4, maybe 5. Tyler Atkinson is without a doubt a 5-star recruit. I think John Turntine is as well. Williams Day, we were actually talking a little bit off air before about Tyler Atkinson. If you scroll, let me scroll down. The industry ranking has a number 12, so that's a little bit of a third from all these different outlets. You can see 2 other outlets have him as a 5-star. He's still the number 2 linebacker. He's still number 46 in the country. The ranking, which it uses a little algorithm, has as a number 12 player in the country. I can see good arguments for all 3 of these rankings on the right. I can see a good argument for that one on the left. I don't think you'll find a better athlete than Tyler Atkinson at 6'2", 205. He's got it like Anthony Hill, and Anthony Hill was ranked similarly. Just to note this, Anthony Hill was an athlete before he was a linebacker. Now he's a great linebacker. How good of a linebacker is Tyler Atkinson? Do we know how he plays in coverage? Do we know exactly how he does, like, reading gaps and where to go? It's a question, but that's not a question that should preclude him maybe from 5-star status. So I see where you're coming from. Coach, when you're looking at John Turntine, I know this size and this height and weight on the screen may be a little outdated, but someone who still, again, for all the consternation in June, we should know that John Turntine is still one of the best tackles in the country.
Yeah, he is. Actually, he's gotten a little tall now. I mean, I put him in a 6'4" range, maybe a little bit above that now. After seeing him once a couple weeks ago before they got rid of the scrimmage, Euless Trinity. But seeing him next to a Zane Rowe, who's a true 6'5", he didn't look much shorter than him whatsoever. And he pretty much, gave the school the youngin a little bit this past Friday. So Turntine then, look, he just an absolute stud on the offensive line. It doesn't matter where you put him, and he doesn't care. He just wants to go bully people and say, hey, run behind me, or I'll protect you, whoever the quarterback may be. And I think he'll do that wherever you put him at. He just wants to win. I think you normally don't see that from kids. And like, I'm a left tackle. I'm the cornerstone. Yeah. Turntine does not care. He just wants to play, get 4 other guys next to him who has the same mentality, and go win and go push people off the football.
We got to get Justin Tadia Bell. Ended up at number 9 in Rivals update, number 2 quarterback, number 1 player in Florida. So doing the math really quickly, number 1 player in Florida, number 1 player in California, number 1 player in those 2 states, because we'll look at Texas in a little bit. Unfortunate that he's out for the year. Was doing some good things here at the beginning of his senior season. Didn't get to play against Hayward Howard and Edna Carr. Is going through a minor medical issue is what he announced. And yeah, man, that stunts development. I think Texas fans know just as well as anybody that how important reps are to have throughout your high school career. But he's going to enroll early. This is someone who's going to come in and try to learn the offense and climb as high up the depth chart as he can right away with a lot of physical gifts that even, I'm sure there's going to be an update before signing day. I would understand a small drop because he's not playing, but he's not going to drop much further in this just because of what we've seen both in game and in the camp setting throughout his career.
I think this was a small drop, wasn't it?
It was. He was, I think, 2 or 3 overall.
And this has happened. They've redid these twice now since the end of last season. So when there's no football being played in 9 months, they've changed his status twice. First, they moved him up. Then they moved him back down. It's like the episode of The Office. Michael's like, snip, snap, snip, snap, snip, snap. because nobody can make up their mind. Is he the number one quarterback or is he number two? Well, let's just flip him with Jared Curtis, and then let's just flip him back. And let's put it in an article. Come on, guys. This is silly. Dia and Jared are both incredible prospects. Dia especially. He has an athleticism, but it's not – he's more of a quarterback than he is an athlete, and he's a really good athlete. It's in his family genes. He's such a competitor. He only picked up football because of COVID, fellas. Like, this was a basketball player growing up. And so I think that's fascinating. He'll be on campus in January. He already has the playbook. He understands. He's learning the terminology. He's learning different things. He's going to be on campus in January. He's going to have number 3 waiting in his locker for him. That's going to be that's going to be his jersey number. You hate it because he's such a competitor, and he really leans on his team. That first game of the season when they went down 28-0, and he brought them back, like, that was just spectacular work. Yeah. And who would have known that performance would drop him in a ranking scenario? But you know what? That's the life we live in this recruiting world. And I think the SEC shorts people have it right. Somebody at On 3 rankings needed to get arrested because it's kind of silly at this point. They're going to snip, snap until he graduates. And so it'll be interesting to see. But I'm with Joe. Being out for the whole year, you may see him even drop down a little bit more because other quarterbacks are going to play well. They're gonna add on to what they're good at. And so at the end of the day, Dia's going to be just fine. He told us he's going to be good to go. He's going to be ready. Fully believe in that. And that's the guy that, they've got Trey Owens, they've got KJ Lacey, but buddy, Dia Bell is probably the next in line after Arch.
I kind of think that I can't remember if Dia was number 1 quarterback before this update.
Yes, he was. He was, because remember, he won the Elite 11 MVP.
Yeah.
But then after those 2 really good games, they decided that didn't mean anything.
Nope.
Yeah, I can understand like overall position player drops and stuff like that because guys gain weight, guys look good in camp, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
What major difference is there between 9 and 2 as a prospect?
Right.
But flip-flopping without very many games played.
Just a flip-flop.
Just a flip-flop.
Just a flip-flop. Snip, snap, snip, snap. Look, I'm not trying to get a vasectomy following recruiting rankings, and I felt like I just got one.
Oh, man. Going through some of the more rankings, we talked a little bit about Atkinson, talked a little bit about Turntine. This is a shocker, Charlie, with Derek Cooper. The average kind of brings Derek Cooper to number 38 overall. You see other outlets with him as a 5-star, as a top 40 player. Rivals has him as a number 148 prospect, and that one is just I'm curious what was seen to make him drop that far.
I think they wanted some conversation. Give somebody a talking piece. I mean, you look at the first game.
Did they watch the tape, Charlie? Did they watch the first 2 games?
Maybe the second game. I don't think he got as involved in the game. He kind of took him out. But then this last game versus American Heritage, he went off again. Like, think how many? He may have 8 or 9 touchdowns on the season. Like in 3 games, like that's ridiculous, right? So I'm not really sure what they're seeing on this. He looks explosive. He looks fast. He's running through people, around people, by people. Like, what else do you want to see from this kid at this point, right? So to drop him, you got me. I mean, like I said, it's a conversational piece. That's about it. That's the only thing I can think of.
Looking at Jermaine Bishop, I know other outlets have seen his size, and he's small. I don't know if he's 5'11". He's probably 155. Like, they've looked at that and wondered, how does this work? They may have wondered, what position does he play at the next level? I think all the skills on tape are just too much to discount, even when looking at his size. And we've also seen Steve Sarkisian and company make use of 5'10", 160 wide receivers pretty well in the past. One just got taken in the first round, I think, by the Kansas City Chiefs not long ago. Matthews kind of holds steady, 184 overall. Opala, 192. Chris Stewart gets a nice – I think he actually got a little bit of a bump. So
little bit
for him. And then that is the list of, with Rivals, their top 300 makes up all their 4-star prospects. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 4-star prospects for Texas in this class, at least according to the Rivals standard, which is, top 300 or above. looking through the 3-star guys, Hayward Howard, Cohen Brown, Vodney Cleveland, Dylan Berryman, Nick Robertson, Max Wright, Corey Wells, Yaheem Riley, and then the specialists. Any guys who you're like, okay, wait a second, that guy's a 4-star. What are we doing here?
Look, I think Cohen off tape and stats would probably be a 4-star because he's went off every single game this year.
Him and Jermaine Bishop have both been huge the first month of the season.
Yeah, against good competition too. He's returning punts, kickoffs, catching. He's been unbelievable this season. So I think he may get his 4-star from just game film alone.
And Justin, you and I were talking a little bit about Vodney Cleveland. We talked about him last week after he made that visit. There are some other outlets, as you can see, they think pretty highly of him. The industry ranking still has him pretty high, but On3 dropped him, Rivals dropped him a good distance.
Yeah, and that's just, it's, like we were talking about earlier, it's kind of part of the whole process of re-ranking and ranking and re-ranking and going back and forth without a whole lot of tape. Vodney's actually looked pretty good this year. He's just one of those. It's just one of those things where I think Charlie said it drums up conversation, and that's essentially what you want with these recruiting rankings. You want to talk about it, debate, all that kind of fun stuff. Vodney, as you can tell, is an industry ranking 4-star for a reason, and I think he does have that upside. But some of these guys are going to get dinged for various reasons. Some reasons, maybe they're having too good of a senior season. That can hold you back in a recruiting ranking. You never really know. But I think with Vodney, honestly, he is just a solid prospect. I think this is where he should be kind of ranked. I think he's a mid-range 4-star kid. Like, he's got the upside. I think he's got the ceiling. He just has to kind of put it all together. And I think it's going to take a couple of years on the 40 before he actually, can contribute. It won't be like a James Johnson, who I think could come in and play pretty early. Not to mention they've got a lot of depth on the defensive line. So Vodney's a guy that can come in and do that. I'll ask you this, Joe. Out of the 3 specialists, which one of those should be a 5-star?
Oh, man, I'm not that bold. It's like those days when people would look at the blue chip rankings and look at Alabama, and it was like 95. It's like, well, who was the 5%? And it was like the punter, the kicker, the long snapper. I think it's pretty good that Mikey Bukauskas is that number 1 guy. That was a recruiting battle, right? That was Texas and Clemson really going after it for the number 1 punter. I feel like for kicker, punter, even long snapper, I trust what Rivals says, but I also trust about as equally some specialty rankings, and there are specialty rankings for long snappers and kickers and punters. They have something similar, though. So, hey, 6'3", 205 guy kicking, 6'0", 175 kicking, your long snapper kind of has the size of a linebacker. Fine with me. I wonder if they trust them all next year. That's a little bit of a risk if we've seen.
Is this Jack? Do they only get Jack for 1 year?
Yes. Okay. And Shipley and Will Stone is on his senior year. Lance St. Louis is on his senior year. So
it'll be a whole new bunch.
It could. Yeah. It could. So one thing I wanted to point out, and we kind of talked about this a little bit, and I'll scroll up from, if I can get this to look a little better. Not like that. Okay. Actually, here we go. I'll scroll up from 10 just to make a point. These are the top 10 players in the Rivals rankings in the state of Texas. Number 10, Chase Campbell from Wolford Friendship, Texas Tech commit. Number 9, Landon Barnes from Duncanville, Ole Miss commit. Number 8, John Turntine. 7, KJ Edwards from
Watch LSU, College Station. Watch LSU.
From Carthage A&M commit. 6, Davian Gross, Frisco Lone Star, Florida. 5,
not sure if he's a
Henderson,
receiver or if he's an athlete. Got to say that.
5, Keyshawn Henderson, Houston commit.
He should be higher. 4,
Felix Ojo, Texas Tech commit. 3, Bo Bentley, quarterback, Oklahoma commit. Jamian Winfield, Jalen Lott. The one thing that stands out to me, and we talked a little bit about this, there are 15 top 100 players, which is great. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of talent throughout the state and kind of on par with what we're expected to see.
Right.
But nobody's in that top 30, at least right now, from the state of Texas. And I think we've talked plenty about how Texas, the school, goes and looks all over the country. And I don't think it's why, like, they're not looking all over the country because the talent's down. I'm just very interested in the fact that, like, there's not a bona fide, surefire, according to Rivals, 5-star Charlie in this class at this juncture.
Yeah, I think some of these guys need to go out and actually watch games. Don't look at Huddle or what you think, go out and put your eyes on these kids. I think their opinions may change. Just my soapbox recruiting, I think a lot of people just follow the leader, honestly. There's no real film watching or evaluation going on for the most part, just from my opinion. Because if you go out and see some of these kids play, there's no way you can have them ranked as low as others. You don't have to follow the trend. Go out and trust your own eyes, right? And see and trust what you see in some of these kids. I think this is going to change again. And once midseason huddles drop and you see kids dominating more, especially that one right there where your arrow is, he's going to rise up the rankings. Jalen Lott's been on a tear this year. Keyshawn Henderson, like you said, Justin, he's way too low. That's an absolute beast.
That's the number 2 player in the state.
Yeah. So
Damian Winfield is the number 1 prospect in the state of Texas for 2026. Keyshawn Henderson is right behind him at number 2. Those two have, if we were talking about NFL draft aspirations in 4 or 5 years, you know how they try to correlate the top, 32 and 32 5-star, stuff like that. Keyshawn is walking across the stage before Bo Bentley. Okay. Yeah, Jamian Winfield is walking across the stage probably before Jalen Lott. And Jalen Lott is an incredible, athlete. Absolutely incredible. Could do it both on both sides. Jamian Winfield. So if we're looking at it like I think the standard is with the recruiting rankings, like where would they be in 4 or 5 years? Where would they get drafted? Something like that. Jamian Winfield is a no-brainer, number 1. And Keyshawn Henderson is a no-brainer, number 2. Now, the rest of them you can kind of mix and match. There's some really good talent here. But we've seen these guys in person so many times, Charlie. It is obvious Jamian Winfield is the best. And they've got him at number 2. So we're literally arguing one spot. Right. So we're doing kind of what Rivals wants us to do. But Keyshawn, 5? No. And let me tell you something else. And I'm going to make this statement. If Keyshawn Henderson's committed to LSU, is he number 5? No, if he's committed to Georgia, is he number 5?
Exactly.
No.
Right.
He's number 5 because he's committed to Houston. So there's a flaw in the system. Keyshawn Henderson is going to be a tremendous college football quarterback. Love the kid. I can't wait to see him compete.
Before we keep going, got to show some love to our other sponsor, that is Rhoback. There's only one way to describe Rhoback: best fit, best feel. For those who aren't familiar with Rhoback, they are completely changing the game with their incredibly comfortable activewear. Rhoback has released so many items within their new licensed game day collection, and it's our favorite. With novel polo designs and clean hoodie and Q-zip designs from some of your favorite schools like Texas, it's definitely worth checking out. Nobody else on the market is pairing these level of custom designs with this quality of activewear. Rhoback's everyday shorts or their Delta Performance pants are the perfect pairing as well. Both are super comfortable, have an elastic waistband, and great fabric that's made to have the appearance of a nice short look, but the comfort for a day on the move. Rhoback has also been proudly leading the NIL charge, having signed partnerships with multiple college football stars like Quinn Ewers. They are becoming the go-to brand for college athletes across the country. Use the code TEXAS20 on Rhoback.com for a generous 20% off for all new customers through the end of this week. That's RHOBACK.com and 20% off all performance polos, shorts, and more with TEXAS20. One more thing to talk about, Justin, that is a visitor, a pretty good high-profile 2026 visitor. We've had some 27s, 28s come through over the past couple weeks, but a 2026 visitor in Braylon Hodge from Inglewood, Colorado, Cherry Creek High School. That is Gunnar Helms' alma mater. He's a Michigan State commit, as you can see, number 170 in the most recent Rivals rankings, number 1 player in Colorado, making his way to the 40 acres as Texas looks to add to Tyler Atkinson and then Kosi Akpala in the linebacker class in 2026.
Yeah, so we knew they needed another linebacker, and they've been talking to a couple guys. Remember Isaiah Williams, who's decommitted like 9 times? He's the guy that Texas was still talking to. I think he actually flipped again a couple weeks ago. And then also the big kid, his name's slipping me. We were talking about him before the deal. The kid out of that committed to Tennessee.
Braden Rouse.
Yeah. They were still talking to him. So we knew they needed one more linebacker in this class. And I got to tell you something, Braylon Hodge, we knocked the recruiting rankings. This guy got a boost. Okay, so people did pay attention to what he's been putting on tape as a senior because this guy got a nice little boost in a couple days ago. I'll say this: I don't think he's going to Michigan State. Michigan has jumped in and really started pushing. Texas has jumped in and really started pushing. I believe he actually was in Ann Arbor maybe last weekend. I know he's going to take an official visit there at some point. He'll be at Texas this weekend for the Sam game. It will be an unofficial. He'll set up his official visit later in the cycle. But this is a guy that, I get a little bit of Braden Rouse vibes a little bit. He doesn't bring the suddenness of Rouse or the violence of Rouse, but there's the athleticism the same. And he's actually got some height to him. And so I actually like him in coverage. I think this guy can do a little bit of everything. And so this is Texas just being judicious. And you know what I liked about him? I asked him, I said, who, do you know anybody big from Cherry Creek that, went on to Texas knowing the answer? And he's like, Gunnar Helm. He's like, I never got to play with him, but that's a guy we all looked up to. And he, he's doing his thing right now in Tennessee. And so Hodge, I asked him last night what he wanted to see from Texas. He wants to see just the team, how they hang out with each other. It's really not about what's on the field. It's really what's off the field, how the culture, how the locker room kind of coexists, the atmosphere, the environment, things of that sort. Texas is squarely in this. They're going to have a battle with Michigan. I don't think he's going to go to Michigan State, but this is going to be a fun one to follow for the next few months.
Coach, just looking at this one, he's from Denver, Denver area, lives in, obviously, Colorado, committed to Michigan State. We know, and this isn't to turn this into a whole Deion discussion, but we know Deion doesn't recruit high school like a lot of other coaches, looks at their home state. Like this one feels, unless, Justin, there's some sort of connection that I'm not aware of to any sort of school, this kind of feels like it's just a national recruitment where Texas is battling, Charlie, some other national programs for a prospect in a football. I don't want to say not football crazy, but like not a well-known football talent hotbed that sends its players to one place.
Yeah, that's definitely national recruitment. Before you said it, I was like, Deion would be interested if he was in the portal, but coming out of high school, seems like there's just no.
Colorado's in this recruitment, guys. By the way, they contact. They're in contact with him.
Okay, but
not. But like you said, not like regular high school recruiting.
Gotcha. Yeah, definitely. Look, most kids don't stay in the state of Colorado. If you find a guy that's at the top of the list in Colorado, they usually kind of go out of state. Either they go West Coast, or if it's a national kid, other schools come in and kind of cherry pick and take those top guys. And it seems like there's going to be another kid that goes somewhere else out of the state. Having success with Gunnar Helm of Texas, that could play a huge part, right? I'm sure if Gunnar decides to help and say, hey, little brother, here's my success stories. His parents talk to his parents and kind of go from there. But you just never know. But I think it's a definitely national recruitment. And he's gaining more offers, it seems like, by the day. He got a couple, like a bunch, all within a few days of each other. So, national teams are starting to pay attention to him. And if Michigan and Texas offer us, definitely going to pique the interest of other teams as well who might try to jump in.
Just seeing some of the headlines, like you were mentioning, Justin, a lot of Michigan, a lot of Texas. So one of the recruitments to watch as we go down the 2026 cycle. Hiccups. Last thing, Chris Bennett, sorry I didn't get to this earlier, just to kind of merge a little bit of team discussion with the current recruiting discussion. Well, the offensive struggles are a bad season hurt recruiting. Bad season, yes. Bad seasons hurt recruiting. I think we can try to justify they look at individual performances and stuff like that. But when you're a, let's say, worst case scenario happens, you're a 9-3 team and you're battling with recruits for 11-1 programs. Yeah, that's going to be a step down. But like offensive struggles, like kids see opportunity, Charlie, when they see stuff like that.
Look, kids, they don't get they're not on a roller coaster of emotion like I guess most fans that come to recruiting. They either see opportunity, they want to go in and say, hey, let me be the guy that come in and fix it. We're struggling here. I want to be that guy. Maybe I have an opportunity. You see a ton of freshmen playing for Texas this year. Everybody's getting an opportunity. Maybe they see the opportunity, or they look at the course of history. Well, they've been good. We've been to back-to-back semifinal games. Like, there's not a worry. There's not a fret whatsoever. They trust the coaches and what they're telling them. They've seen the success. Just if you're running from a little bit of hiccups now, a little bit of struggles, that's probably not the kid you want anyway, right? Because he may try to jump in the portal as soon as things don't go right? So I think the type of kids they're recruiting, I think they're grounded. They're not going to fret and run away just because there's some struggles on offense. They see an opportunity, or they look at the success of history over the past 4 seasons.
Yeah, bad season, yeah, that makes a difference because kids want to play for winners. But offensive struggles, they'll see.
What are we
things.
going to call a bad season?
I think
8-4.
Making the playoff, considering expectations and who they have around them. Bad is it's so
relative. It's a relative term.
Yes,
I know.
Yes, but well below expectations. Justin, I'll let you get this one. I think you mentioned it earlier. Texas have any chance with Trenton Henderson, guy we talked about with the edge recruiting from LSU?
There's a chance. Yeah, there's a chance. You know what else? There better be a chance I see David Williams at Inside Texas soon. That's what I want to see soon. Okay. I love seeing you on the YouTube channel. I miss you on the big board where it really matters, where we bring all the good stuff. So, David, I'll tell you this right now. You better come. It's for $1. You can join Inside Texas right now for get that first week for $1. Give us an opportunity to earn your business. You also get a full year of access to The Athletic, which has really, really turned into a great read. And so $1 gets you in. Let us earn that business back, David. We miss you. We want to continue to talk about Kendall Sheffield and guys of that sort because you were the man way before the man. And so I'll answer that question in depth about Trenton Henderson when you come see me at InsideTexas.com.
You bring up Kendall Sheffield. I got to bring up one guy. And David Williams,
bring it.
Just for you. No picture, but you know who it is.
Big Marvin.
Big Marv.
Yeah. We're
Big
going back
Marv.
real old school on that one. So
I'll never forget the thing about Marvin Wilson. He was such a good basketball player. That was what always stood out to me about Big Marvin. He was always a good and he took a chance going to Florida State because they were really starting to go down badly. And he said, you know what? I'm gonna ride that. I'm gonna take a chance. So I give Marvin, he could have gone the easy Alabama, Ohio State, LSU route, Texas route. You know what he did? He went to FSU. Good to see you, Marv.
We
you know that
appreciate
team? I remember that team had 4 NFL players on at one time.
Waddle, him, and yeah.
that's right. Lots of good stuff was going on.
Walker Little, they all had those guys.
Yeah,
off of the 6'10" loop. So, Justin, appreciate it. Charlie, appreciate it. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on Recruiting Intel on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel powered by InsideTexas.com.